Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We come to you guys with more breaking news coming from South Asia as the conflict between India and Pakistan is not slowing down as the Indian army continue to hammer the Islamic regime, and Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, have now declared a state of emergency. In this video, we're going to go through everything that we have. It's still ongoing, obviously, this war. And just as a reminder, you got a bunch of Islamist terrorists from Pakistan causing chaos. Then India, it gets angry. And now, apparently, Pakistan is the victim. So that narrative hasn't really changed. The Pakistani government, on the one hand, pretend to be big dogs. Oh, yeah, we can take on the Indian army. You can't, firstly. Secondly, they're saying, oh, no, the whole world needs to help us because we are the victims in this whole situation. We already exposed yesterday's funeral in the middle of Pakistan for one of the terrorists, and guess what? The other terrorists were standing right next to the military of Pakistan and the police and politicians. But apparently the Pakistani government have nothing to do with these guys. All right, let's give you guys the latest videos that we have. First things first, we're going to give you guys updates over the last few hours, because even though Pakistan are claiming that they are the victims, they were the ones who continue to attack India. They attacked India again. So Indians are retaliating. They have to defend their country. What happened was, the first video we're going to show you is Pakistan trying to strike Jammu. Indian air defenses were working really hard to take out all the drones within seconds over 3 key locations in India. We're going to show the footage of the Indian air defense intercepting the drones mid-air. Let's go to the first.
हाँ, रेड लाइट दिख रही है बस.
भाई यार यहाँ से फेंक रही है एयरपोर्ट से.
So that was the initial round of attacks again from the Pakistani side, while they are the victims, right? Then they continued, and the next video is actually in the city of Jammu. This is the Indian controlled Kashmir, which is was under a massive drone attack from Pakistan. The air defense from India, massively active, and of course this area of Kashmir is key for the Pakistani Islamists to basically wipe out, because if they can't have it, nobody else should either. So yeah, the drones and the air defenses are very, very busy again today and tonight. But again, the Indians, obviously the Indian army, were planning to retaliate. Meanwhile, the Pakistani defense secretary, defense minister, and foreign minister, Asif, and all the government people have been sending out. They've been sending out all the governments to Sky News, CNN, and also the RT, and talking to Reuters, because somehow the Pakistani side think that what they should focus on is propaganda, because they can't win the actual conflict on the ground. They are very busy trying to go to the global international mainstream media to defend their actions. This is again the suicide drones launched by Pakistan at India. One of the main targets was the Indian airport in Satwari. And of course, the Indian air defenses were also activated completely and managed to prevent this. This is very dark, but you can hear the sound.
हाँ, रेड लाइट दिख रही है बस.
भाई यार यहाँ से फेंक रही है एयरपोर्ट से
So that was ongoing. And then finally, we started hearing the retaliation, self-defense from the Indian army. They have every right to defend their country. And things kicked off again. So explosions, evacuations, massive crisis across the Indian and Pakistani border. Over the last few hours, then we heard that at least 13 Indian civilians have been killed. And then following that, the Pakistani media reported that 31 Pakistanis were also dead. And there were dozens more injured as the gunfire and airstrikes continue. Villages in Jammu, which is in Kashmir, were bussed out. They evacuated the whole area because of the drone attacks. Obviously, with the two powers being nuclear powers, a lot of eyes are from around the world are still on it, because if somehow, obviously no one's saying it's going to happen, if somehow some crazy idiot decides to go nuclear, the whole region and then the whole world will be impacted. But nobody's actually talking about that yet, but you don't know what's actually going on in the mind of the Pakistani politicians.
Air defense system.
Now, for the record, over the last couple of weeks since the terrorist attack by the Pakistani Islamists, which obviously took a number of Indian civilians' lives, we have had also Indians across the world protesting outside the Pakistani embassies, which is fair enough. But we are now hearing that over the next few days, we might be getting the Pakistani community in person organizing their own protests. So imagine a group of people from your country do an attack, and then oh wait, we've seen that before. Gaza. Yes, on the 7th of October, when they invaded Israel, on the same day in London and many other places, they were already organizing their so-called protests before Israel even started to defend itself. Those were not protests, those were celebrations. But going back to India and Pakistan, this is the map. So overnight and over the last few hours, the escalations along the India-Pakistan border is escalating. What we have is the incidents include the missile as well as drones attempted by both sides. Obviously, the Indian side are continuing to target the terror-linked targets. So they know exactly where the terrorists are based and they are hitting them. Yesterday, they did a massive operation. The intense artillery exchanges from both sides continue. And of course, many have now evacuated the local areas alongside the border, especially around Kashmir. So with that in mind, this is still going on, by the way. So obviously, I'm still waiting for more updates because this is breaking news. But we have to verify certain things because over the last few days, as we've been reporting on this, and the mainstream media around the world, they continue to recklessly believe everything that the Pakistani government tells them. The Pakistani government continues to claim that they have taken down 5 billion fighter jets from India. I'm like, okay, maybe you've taken down a couple. You can't just randomly increase the number. 1 minute they said 2, next minute they said 7, then they said 5, then it went to 15, then it went down to 12. You can't keep changing the number. But CNN and BBC and all these guys continue to say, well, the Pakistanis told us. You have to say they claim. You can report it, but say they claim. Whether it's India claiming or Pakistan, you have to say they are claiming. You can't say it's verified unless you can verify. The next video we're going to show you is a ZU-23-2, an anti-aircraft gun with the Pakistani Army Air Defense engaging the Indian Army that were doing the drone attacks. This is a few hours ago over the Old Walton Airport in Lahore. It seems a little bit, because it's just one tiny unit hitting it, it's going to look a little bit depressing. It's just sad and lonely. I'm not really sure how successful it was. Just watch it. So, well, in Pakistan, this is a very sensitive site, obviously near the airport, and they have just one unit. The footage and the videos, pictures that we've obviously a lot of you have seen on social media as well. From the Indian side, the air defense system in India is massively huge. So you just got like multiple ones next to each other in every corner. But this one is like one tiny one acting alone. I don't know if they did a good job or not, but I'm guessing they're going to claim that they've shot down billions of Indian fighter jets with that one. Anyway, going back to the situation with the Pakistani armed forces, because this is the interesting claim, which kind of makes sense. So the Pakistani army announced this morning that it shot down at least 25 Israeli-produced Harab 1, this is the one-way attack drones, basically suicide drones that was launched by India against the military sites in eastern Pakistan. So these are the Indian drones that, but they bought it from Israel because obviously they're allies. And the Pakistanis are now trying to use this to drag Israel into this conflict and blame everything on the Jewish nation. It's absolutely fascinating how they are obsessed. So, okay, we got two allies and they can buy things from each other. Oh, surprise, surprise. And of course, the Israelis have great technology and they're helping India. They are buying things from them. And now, apparently, according to Pakistan, they've done a massive expose. Oh, wow, we've discovered the Jews are here. If you say so, if you're going to have this situation where every single time you're going to drag Israel into a conflict, but then I think you are the problem and you need to deal with your own psychological issues. Anyway, the victim cards being played by Pakistan continues because the defense minister, oh yes, remember him? He's now telling Reuters that there is almost no room left to de-escalate, and basically saying that Pakistan is not going to stop even though they started this. But it's okay because, oh, poor Pakistan. The whole point of Operation Sindoor by the Indian Army a couple of days ago was to, as I've been repeatedly saying, to slap Pakistan in the face saying, you did the terrorist attack, where you allowed your terrorists to do the terrorist attack. Not only do you take responsibility, you've been attacking us, so we're going to have to do this. We are hitting all your military sites. Now, can we go home? That was the message from India. Can we just calm down now? Pakistan had an opportunity to say, okay, cool. Some of our people might have killed some of your people. All right, let's just go back. We've had about 6 conflicts over the last few decades, right? Somehow these guys have a death wish in Pakistan. Not really sure why. I think one of the main reasons is because they're becoming overly confident because the Chinese Communist Party from Beijing are continuing to 100% back the Pakistani army. Now you have Erdogan in Turkey. Of course, Erdogan's getting involved. Why not? Erdogan, who also suggested to be a mediator, is now saying, of course, I'm going to be supporting Pakistan. I mean, again, it's not really a surprise. So I think Pakistan genuinely believe that they have support from the international community. Anyway, let me show you the next video. This is over the last few hours, the Pakistani capital, Islamabad, they actually started to activate their sirens because they declared a state of emergency. Of course, if you're watching right now from Pakistan, India or Israel, just a heads up, the video is going to have sirens because obviously if you're watching from those places, especially Israel, your neighbors might panic that there's a siren. So just a heads up. Although listening to that, because I was in Israel a few days ago, it does sound slightly different to the Israeli siren. So I don't think anyone's going to panic in Israel. Anyway, going back to the situation with the state of emergency. So the Pakistanis did declare the state of emergency across all hospitals in Sindh, which is in the southeastern parts of Israel, the green section. Hospitals were placed on high alert. Medical staff have been put on standby. Obviously, this area is far from where the actual fighting is taking place. Now, considering there's no, right now, clashes in Singh, which is in the southeast, if the hospitals and everything else is already on high alert and a state of emergency, either the Pakistani government are incompetent, they can't control anything, they're saying, well, let's just declare a state of emergency everywhere, or their hospitals and their bases in other parts where there is conflict is already overwhelmed, they don't have the capacity, which is also, that means they're incompetent, or they might be overreacting, because there are no clashes down there, for now. But it's not really a surprise that I think that this might also be to send a signal to the world, to the United Nations. Oh, we are under attack. The evil Indians are coming for us. That probably also could be one of the main explanations from this. Anyway, going to the airports. So 3 of the major airports in the 3 main Pakistani cities were shut down by the Pakistani Civil Aviation Authority. They announced it earlier today, and the military obviously said that the whole point of this is to ensure that everybody is as safe. The thing is, the Pakistani army, Pakistani government, never actually cared much about the civilians. It's fascinating how, even when there have been some counterattacks from India on some terrorist sites, for example, the Pakistanis never really actually tried to shield the civilians. Not much. So suddenly they really care about the airports, right? The main reason for this is because I think they've seen what's been going on around the world, especially in Yemen. And I think they believe, unless they know something we don't know, which means some of the Islamists might be having bases or certain equipment in some of these airports. And if the Indians find out, they're going to hit the airports, right? But it was shut down. We don't know why. But they said the drones are coming. If the drones are coming, you don't have to shut down all the 3 main airports. Anyway, we had the reaction from Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State in the United States. He actually gave a phone call to the Pakistani Prime Minister. And his message is to restrain yourself. His message is basically calm down, because the message from the Americans is that the 2 nuclear powers who are neighbors fighting is going to give Washington a massive headache, because the Americans can't police the whole world, even though they keep saying the Americans are the world police, but you can't. And President Trump already said, this has nothing to do with us. They started it, and it's now between India and Pakistan. You can't expect the Americans to be everywhere. And not just because, obviously, America needs to prioritize America, but America needs to also prioritize that the any enemy or threat that is targeting the American interests. So, for example, the Houthis in Yemen keep hitting the Americans. The IRGC from Iran keep hitting the Americans. That makes sense. But the reason that the Americans can't just police the whole world is not necessarily that, oh, well, it's none of your business. It's also because you can't really have a third party. Even America, with all that knowledge, they're not going to be good at intervening in every area. You've already seen the 20th century, when America became the face of the world police after the fall of the British Empire, how many of the interventions made by the United States was actually successful? The only example some would say is Kosovo, right? As a coalition. Vietnam was not really a success. Yeah, kind of prevented the expansion of the communists, but wasn't really a success in terms of the cost, the human cost, but also the actual financial cost, the Vietnam War. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, every intervention has been a bit of a messed up situation. It's not easy to do interventions. So all these warmongers who are just going around saying we should just police the whole world, even if you were actually doing it for humanitarian reasons, it's not easy. Anyway, we're waiting for more information. While we're doing this, I get some reaction from you guys in the live chat. We got Ivan. Thank you for your super chat, saying Pakistan are so much like Hamas. Must be an Islamic thing, so to cause chaos and play the victim. Oh yeah, culturally it is. Culturally, it's been going on for hundreds of years. Absolutely. So it says, Pakistan don't need additional defense systems. They have the BBC. Oh, yeah. And actually, even Sky News, I was watching Sky News a little bit to kind of see how they're covering this, just for the sake of it. I have to watch the mainstream media so you guys don't have to suffer. But Sky News were actually clueless, which is kind of interesting because Sky News is a major international news channel because they cover the global news. They have professional journalists based everywhere. They kept messing. One of them said Singh was in the western parts of Pakistan. I was like, how? Since when? You can't move provinces. It was always in the southeast. Anyway, Luke says, meanwhile, the IMF is dreading the bailout that Pakistan is going to ask for once they spent out and this is over. 24th time since Pakistan's independence, if not mistaken. The thing is, there's a lot of the support that goes towards Pakistan gets lost. So a lot of people, you can actually criticize the Western governments, and the British government until recently were also giving out a lot of money to India. The issue with the Indian foreign aid was actually most of it was the investment, and it was directly to the departments and areas that needed it. But a lot of people still had, based on principle, we still had an issue with sending money to India, considering India as an economy is coming up. They have their own space programs and everything else that they're working on, and nuclear. Why? But the Pakistani foreign aid is on a whole new level because they get a lot of money from the United Nations. Nobody's actually checking where their money is going. With all the money that Pakistan has received over the last few decades, how can you have that country look like that? There is absolutely no progress, no development. Now, there's a cultural problem. It's just full of corruption. But it's not really a big, I mean, it's not a small land, but it's not a big land for what it is, considering the population. They have the whole land covered. Build. Do nice things. Build businesses. Build nice housing. Help your people. Help your public transport. They're not doing any of that. Because culturally, I don't think they think that's an important thing to do. But they can also beg the Chinese communists to help them. Many Brits think that refugees to come to the UK from India. It never happened. India defeated Pakistan in many wars. India has lots of land. The British people may dislike Indians, but it's a war against Islamism. To be fair, I think a lot of the Brits I know, they are absolutely fine with Hindus. Obviously, the issue that we talk about in the West and many other Western countries, when people are talking about the concerns that they have when it comes to mass migration and multiculturalism, it's not always directly targeted at any of the groups of people from countries. For example, if a bunch of Japanese people move to the UK, I mean, they won't because they love their country. But if they did, and if they all come at the same time and they all ask for benefits, obviously a lot of people would say, well, what's going on here? It's not because they hate the Japanese people. It's just well, this is not really, it's not cool because, our public services are falling apart in the UK already. So the issue that the people had, especially with the latest trade deal, is on principle. It's not because people hate the Indians. But there's an issue with the Islamic mass migration because when it comes to the Islamic ideology, we're not able to vet people's backgrounds. We don't even know who they are. And they're going to come, they're not coming legally. The Indians, they go through the paperwork, the whole process, the economic migrants. And, either they come as students or they have money, they bring businesses. These days, obviously, we're not talking about in the 1960s, 1970s. Obviously, there was a whole different thing post-British Empire, Commonwealth wave of migration. That was different. But now is a whole different thing. Let's see what this one says. Hammers Islamists. I love this so much because I know it is followed by salty tears and a lot of victim playing. It makes my pee go wee wee. I love how that profile picture has got Ridvan in it, the Apostle Prophet. Love it. Anyway, does Karachi Zoo still have the man dressed up as a fox in a cage, aka Montaz? That's the level of intelligence you're dealing with. Don't want to go there. Don't even want to touch that. Ivan says, this is messing with my curry night. My local Indian restaurant is closed for the time being. Is that serious? The thing is that we have talked about over the last couple of days, I did mention that Nottingham and London, the authorities were urged to actually increase security. This is so embarrassing. In the UK, increase security for the Hindu communities, for Hindu temples and Indian restaurants. Now, in case you don't know, only in Nottingham, primarily, a lot of the Indian restaurants are actually run by Indians. Most Indian restaurants, that's what they had to do that. Most Indian restaurants around the UK are actually run by Bangladeshis. So it's a whole different problem that we have in Britain. So, going back to the rest of this, Harold says the UK is going to welcome more PKR trillionaires. Carter says, I guess Pakistan has to learn the hard way. They should stop while they are behind. I think they are masochistic. So I genuinely think at this point there is no logic why Pakistan is continuing this. Just take the beating and go home. Anyway. What is this? Misha says, you are Pakistan Islamist anti-West just Pope. That is why you are being seen in mosques. I know you are Persian. Thanks for that, Misha. You're going to confuse all the new viewers, by the way. I really feel sorry for Brits. Even in our Saudi, we don't tolerate such jihadi acts. But how Britain allowed such thing in a Christian country? Yeah, I mean, when we have people from Saudi Arabia feeling sorry for us, that's something's gone wrong. Like you talk to a lot of good people in Saudi, in UAE, in Bahrain, and all these people, because obviously Saudi Arabia is coming up massively. All these countries, the education system going up, prosperity going up, they're becoming more middle class. And they've been warning us. Some of you have already seen these videos. The people, politicians from especially UAE, warning the West, saying, we have been cracking down on Islamists. And in fact, at times, they've been pushing them out of their countries. And now they're coming, obviously, to the West. And they are saying, while we did push them out, we're sending you a message, don't let them in. But obviously, we're letting them in. So the whole of the West is becoming completely chaotic. But learn from, for example, Saudi Arabia. If you go in the middle of Mecca and fly the Palestinian flag, you're going to get rugby tackled by the police in Saudi. They don't tolerate that sort of nonsense. If you say anything that is Puritan when it comes to Islam, you could have your faith and they still believe in that. But Puritan ideological stuff coming from the book, talk about any of that, you're going to be in massive trouble. Tom says, as the Bangladeshi ruling families traditionally had strong links with Persia, Tusi should rule as an empire of curry houses. Thing is, as a Persian, Persians, especially Persian Iranians, like myself and my family, we, considering technically where Iran is based on the map, we don't do spicy food. We're absolutely terrified of anything that's spicy. If you eat Persian food, it's flavored. It's spices, but it's not hot spices. You right next door, a lot of people think, well, Indian food is like spicy. But if you try what the Pakistanis eat, it's not just spicy. You die. I'm not really sure how they do it, but yeah. So I don't do curry for that reason, because most of the time I don't want to be that guy who orders a British mild chicken tikka masala when you go to a restaurant. So I just rather not. It's because it's embarrassing. Now, we have Ghost Hybrid as saying that whenever the US military is allowed to do their job, they succeed. It's when politicians limit or misuse the military for political reasons, it fails. Well, yeah, if you give the military an actual purpose, sure. But all the conflicts and all the interventions I mentioned, done by the US, as this person says, that from the beginning it was led by a political direction. So from the beginning, they were doomed to fail. You go to Iraq, I don't really care if you've gone to Iraq. I mean, I do care, but for the sake of the argument, I don't care if you lied to go into Iraq. Let's forget about the lie. You've gone to Iraq. You got rid of Saddam. Why don't you have an actual plan? Well, whether it's an exit strategy or anything long term, if they genuinely thought, despite everything else behind the scenes, publicly speaking, they said, oh no, we're going to give them democracy. Did you not? People were warning them at the time. don't. It's not going to work. Whether you're doing it for good reasons or you're just doing it to cover your backs, giving democracy to the Iraqis who don't know what democracy is not going to work. And obviously it didn't work. There were people in Iran warning that, because obviously Iran was the only country in the region before obviously the state of Israel returned in 1940s. Iran was the first country to bring in constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. They had it in their culture. This is the beginning of the 20th century, ages ago. Every other country in that part didn't have democracy. You can't just impose democracy on people. It's chaos. Viaman says they sent a missile towards the Sikhs and Hindu places of worship, which got intercepted by the Indian army. The thing about this, yeah, true. As we mentioned on the channel 2 days ago, I think, the Pakistani politicians and the defense minister actually publicly said, which is kind of weird. He actually said, we are going to target the Hindu temples. Now, that's not really a normal thing to say when you're doing a conflict. I'm going to directly target a temple. But his excuse was, well, the Indians hit a mosque. Yeah, but the mosque had a bunch of terrorists in it. What are you going to find in a Hindu temple? Is Balochistan getting freedom from Pakistan? I mean, they're trying. At least a chunk of it, but I don't know. Considering the situation next door in Iran, not yet. The moment the Islamic Republic falls, a lot of things are going to change. The whole map of the region is going to change for the better. Telelists have the BBC, CNN and Sky News. We have 2CTV. Thanks for unbiased news. Thank you. Although, again, I never claim to be unbiased, but I'm honest about my opinions and my views. If I'm reporting the facts, I'm reporting the facts. When I add my opinion, you know what my leanings. It's about being honest rather than try to pretend to be impartial. Confused Monk says that India has defended its sovereignty in 1947, 1965, 1971, 99, 2008, 2016, 2019. India is now paying back in 2025. Now, in fact, no, 2025 is still India defending itself. It's the same thing. Pakistan started it. India is defending itself. Carter says there is rising conversions of Christianity in some Muslim nations. You will be surprised where Christianity is growing. Well, the biggest wave is in Iran. And mostly because it's not necessarily that the Iranians are converting from Islam, because only about 30% of the country are Islamic. But the rest of them, they're converting from being secular or atheists or, whatever they were. And it's a huge, huge move. It's the same happening in Europe. There's a massive wave of young people, the younger generation in France, in Belgium, in the UK, who are all converting to Christianity. We're back. We should take PJK back. It's the right time. Pakistan is a nagging wife of India, ex-wife, and will start nagging soon in front of the whole world. I don't know. Bring back the British Empire? The thing is, those who joke about bringing back the British Empire, whatever you want to say about the British Empire, about the past, right now, for the love of God, you cannot trust the British civil service to run the world. Have you seen the British civil service with their purple hairs and the rainbows and everything else? Because the civil servants were the ones running the British Empire. Look at the state of civil servants. You don't want them to bring back the British Empire. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stay tuned for more updates coming from... Is someone that just saying in the live chat, are you Pakistani? I mean, first things first, I don't think I look like it, but because I have different lips. Secondly, considering everything I've been slagging off Pakistan throughout the whole live stream. Yeah, sure, I'm Pakistani. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.